Hello, Internet, and welcome to Damage Check. That's right, your weekly gaming wreckage with your host, Ford and HP. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Just woke up for a little bit of a nappy nap, so that is why we are a little bit late. But I'm feeling pretty good today. Finally kind of over the hump on all the medical stuff, so
Good to
I'm
hear.
pretty happy
I'm
about that.
glad to see you recovering and going to be back to, I would say 100%, but you've been kind of working at a normal human's 100% for this past, suffering that you've been going through. So I'm ready to see
Trying
Ford
to,
at
yeah.
200%. I mean, Ford,
Yeah,
you're gonna
honestly,
be a superhuman.
I'm honestly excited for it, to not have to deal with that pain day in and day out. And so yeah, I'm hoping that my 100% becomes even higher and higher. So yeah, it's a very exciting time now. Very exciting.
Well, I commend you for being able to do all the work you've been doing through that suffering. So good on you, man.
Thank you, thank you. So what have you been up to, HB?
Well, nothing too crazy. I've been, I got Mythic and Magic the Gathering Arena.
Nice, very nice. I know that was a goal of yours.
Yeah, that is the highest rank. I typically I try to get that or at least Diamond every season that I do play. So, I'm closing in on finishing out this set. I tried something interesting last night. If we're gonna go into what we've been playing.
Real quick, before we get off of Magic, though, how long are seasons in Magic now? Is that just like every card set basically is a season?
I feel like they do like a season pass every couple months, and then a new set comes out every like 3 months. So it's like kind of like in the middle of it. It says the season says 17 days. I don't actually know because I don't pay attention to that stuff. I just like to play it a lot. And like a lot of people are like, well, you play it all the time when you look at this, and I don't look at that stuff. Like my friend showed me something in it the other day that was like where you could see like how many cards you, and I guess I've seen that before technically with Super Saiyan Jones. But apparently you can see how many cards you have left to get in the set and earn and stuff. And I think that's neat, but I never look at that stuff because that's not really my goal. My goal is to build fun decks, get a high rank, and move on. Like I don't really think about like, oh, my avatar or, all the little things that you can zhuzh up your profile with and stuff like that. So I don't really even think about the seasons and stuff because really, I mean, I guess you do get packs and stuff and wild cards, but either way, the one that I'm on right now this season that's going on right now says like 15 or 16 days left. So yeah, I think it's only a couple months each major release, and the new release comes out next month, about 2 weeks. So.
Okay. Do we know when the Final Fantasy set's coming out? Because that's going to be the thing that brings me back for that one set.
I do not know. We can look that up during the pod and we can figure that out. But I do think all of the crossovers have been incredible. Like some people complain about the crossovers, and I don't understand that. I mean, I guess communities be communitying, but there's been like a Godzilla crossover. I have the Arcane cards, I haven't opened it, so I can't go get it and show you because it's just a white box. But I have an unopened pack of Arcane crossover cards. And
that's so
and so I really hope that like Arcane really takes off, and because I usually do this for the investment. Like I'm human, I do like the shiny things, but I really like investing more. So I think that having a fun collectible while investing instead of just investing in the Dow Jones or something is much more fun for me. So
oh man, I got a story about that for you on a completely different time. But anyways. What have you been playing, HP? I know you were segueing into that when I interrupted.
Super interested into that little piece you just. I don't even know where to begin on that. But so what I've been playing, this is what I wanted to tell you before we started the pod. But I think that this is prime time to say it on the pod. Last night, I don't know if you saw on Steam what I played recently. I tried again, man. I know our goal this year was to beat our games of the year from a couple years ago that we haven't played yet. Like I know you still got to do tiers and not games of the year, but the big titles and stuff. And so I know we got a little bit of a backlog, and mine was Elden Ring. And I tried last night. Nobody was online. Everybody got offline, and I wasn't ready to go to bed for another 2 or 3 hours. So I was like, you know what? HP, let's play some Elden Ring. Give it a fair shot. I played for about an hour, and I can tell you, I could not have been more mad, disappointed, upset. I can't tell you how much I don't like that game. I keep trying, and I'm going to try again. I will keep trying until I almost force myself to like this game. Because it's got to be good for something, right? It's the biggest game ever. It's like, it's so massive. I'm trying.
So what do you think is the thing? What do you think is the thing? If you could identify a single thing right now that is causing you to not click with it, what do you think that thing is?
Flat out, it's boring. Like, now, don't get me wrong. You play this game. This game is, in my opinion, is for... It's not for the faint of heart, obviously, because you're going to die a fuck ton, right? But at the same time, it is gorgeous. So it kind of makes you want to explore it if that's kind of what you're into. But I feel like you don't get that chance because everything kills you every 4 seconds. And then if it doesn't kill you immediately, then you run out of resources until your next campfire or whatever they're called in that game. Like light source or whatever the fuck it's called. But
yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, and so it's the single thing is that I just think it's boring. Like, I come up on an enemy and I'm like, oh, cool. And you just do the same thing. Now, a lot can be said about other games that are similar, open world style, like Assassin's Creed or even Legend of Zelda. But at least in some of those, like, I feel like there's like this adventure to go on. And I feel like in that so far, I haven't felt like I've been going on an adventure. I feel like that's the dichotomy, right? In Zelda, I feel guided with no guidance. Like, I feel like everywhere I go, there's something to do. There's anywhere you go, there's a Korok, there's a thing to be built, there's a side quest to be had, there's someone to talk to, there's something to craft, there's always something to do. Now, that might be true in Elden Ring, but I haven't seen it yet. And with Elden Ring, I feel lost. I don't feel like it's an open world where I have something to do. I always feel lost. And so everywhere I go, I don't feel like it's benefiting me. I just go there, and then I get my ass kicked, try to go there again, maybe kick their ass. So yeah, it's a learning experience, as they always say. It's like, and I looked up, like, when should I even fight that first boss? Because I tried to fight that first boss early, and everybody in chat was saying it was too early. So I was like, okay, I'm level 19. What is it? What level should I be for the first boss? The Google recommends 20 to 25. So I was like, I'm almost there. I was like, let's give it another shot. But everywhere that I went, again, like I said, you just kind of like you meet there's not, like, so far, I could be wrong again, but so far everywhere that I've went is just an NPC that's trying to kill me. And then said NPC either kills me or doesn't, or I learn from it and I kill it. But it's not engaging. Like, it's like, okay, this guy swung his sword at me and killed me in one shot. All right, well, next time I guess I'll look out for that sword swing. Roll dodge, roll dodge, roll dodge, swing, roll dodge, do a pixel of damage when I swing. Like, you don't do much. Even level 19, apparently, roaming around, I don't do much fucking damage to anything. What am I doing wrong, gamers? Let me know. I don't like that game. But I don't give a freak. I am going to try it again and again. I'm going to give it like 10 more chances, like 10 more hours. I'm going to be fair to this game.
I think that's fair. I think if you could give it 10 more hours, I feel like some of those
almost at 20.
Yeah, I feel like some of those problems will hopefully start to, like, ease out, like some of the earlier, because it kind of sounds like earlier Souls-like problems, where it's like, especially if you're not into Souls-likes, if you haven't played a bunch of them, the beginning is always kind of the hill. And obviously, like, every boss is then a hill afterwards, but the world stops becoming a hill after a little while in those games, to where, like, you're kind of just going through the world at a pretty decent clip, getting to the next boss, which is the next hill to get over, getting to the next boss, which is the next hill to get over, and so on and so forth. And so I think after 10 hours, I think you could fairly say that you have done what you can.
Right.
10 hours within a single playthrough, at least, yeah.
Like, I want to say, like, so, like, let's say Zelda, for example. Like, you can attach infinite a number of items to your weapons and to your arrows and bow and arrow stuff. So you can make fun weapons that you can use. Ultimately, though, you're still just going up and swinging at bokoblins. So one could argue that is also boring. However, when I kill mobs in Zelda, I'm getting materials to create new things and level up my gear, or get and acquire new gear, because each gear you keep forever. It doesn't degrade, and it does something different. Like there's climbing gear, so there's like a frog suit that's climbing gear. So everything that you do in Zelda, I feel like you're kind of getting things for something else, not linearly, just kind of laterally. Like you'll get the climbing suit, you'll get the faster climbing suit, you'll get the light suit, you'll get the magic defense suit, you'll get the, you know, and so there's all kinds of different weapons and things that you can get. Like while the, like if you were to just break down fighting in Zelda, it's kind of, hey, do bullet time and then slash away.
Yeah.
So you could argue it's the same thing. It's just as boring. However, I feel like the end goal of what I'm getting out of the fighting feels better. Like when I kill something in Elden Ring, I have never felt a sense of accomplishment yet. Obviously, when I kill a boss, I will, of course. I'm not dumb. Sure. But whenever I just go around killing mobs, I don't feel rewarded. Some of them don't even drop stuff, which is fine. I don't have to, but I just don't feel it. I don't like it. I don't like it, dude. I wish I did.
Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I can't say anything because I haven't played the game. So my experience is completely just being based off of my previous Souls-like experience and what I played there. But it is interesting. Yeah. The number go up of like the ruins and stuff doesn't do anything for you?
I'm not even going to lie. I don't even notice it. I didn't even know I was level 19. I thought I was level 2.
But so... I guess I don't know. In Elden Ring, when you level up, do you go back to the bonfires to do your whole leveling
stats and stuff?
thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just don't. It just doesn't feel impactful yet. I usually when I play single player games, there's a moment where it clicks. That's how I work. Like some people can just pick up a single player game and they're like, "Oh man, I love this game immediately." That's not how it is for me. I mean, even Breath of the Wild, the first time I played it last year, I had to like really like, okay, this is. I'm gonna like this game. I want to play it. I'm gonna like it. And at first I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool. But then after I started to get into it, probably it was only within like an hour or two. But within the first 2 hours, I was like, I get it. I get how this game works now. And then Tears of the Kingdom obviously was just flowing right after the Breath of the Wild run. So, but this game I've played for almost 7 hours and nothing has clicked yet. But I know that once it does, maybe I can like it. I just got to get that click. It just got to turn on. But I haven't got there yet.
I think maybe even more so than giving it more time. I think it just saying, "Hey, I'm going to beat 3 bosses." And after 3 bosses, if you're still not getting a click, I think at that point you could probably safely say it's just not the game.
Right.
Yeah, the game for you, I should say.
Yeah. And I respect its kind of position in pop culture. I respect its space in the gaming space because I mean, God knows we needed some good games and we got it that year. And then last year we had like a ton of bangers, so it didn't really matter. But it just hasn't clicked yet. So maybe one day it will.
Yeah, I will probably be behind you not too long in trying that out. I feel like this summer I'm probably going to try to give that a try. There's only really like 2 games coming up before Final Shape that I'm semi interested in getting. So what's up?
I just remembered I have something else I played before I ask you what you played. I played something else that I was excited for. I played Peach's Showtime.
Oh yeah, tell me about it, because I've heard divisive things on it.
It is a game for whittle babies. Not what I expected.
That's what I've heard, is that it's a whittle baby game.
Yeah, it's a whittle baby game. It is fun and it is very cute. I mean, they still killed it in the animation department, because whenever she runs, she picks up her dress. It's small flare, but like, and then when she jumps, she kind of lands with a little like kind of flare. So the animation department killing it as always, but the gameplay is just press Y a lot. It feels very basic.
Basically, there's like 2 interaction buttons, basically a jump and then another like action button that changes based on the
theater
outfit she's wearing.
Yeah,
or the theater she's in. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess we could say we could have kind of seen it coming.
But do you think that this is what they wanted for Peach's? It's technically second game, but first real console game. I mean, I guess maybe, but I feel like you could have made it like this, like women empowerment first like banger of a platformer or something. But obviously they wanted to try something new. But for example, there's like the very first theater that you go into. I've only played 2 theaters so far, so 2 levels. I'll end up beating it, but for now I've only done the 2, the ninja one and the swordsman one. And the swordsman one is funny because it's like they have like this Legend of Zelda / Elden Ring like parry style thing that you can do. It's like press Y at the right time and you'll do a parry. Well, guess what? There's no punishment for pressing the Y button. So you basically can just spam it. And so the enemy just swings at you. And as they swing at you, she goes, hacha, hacha, hacha. And so you don't have to time it at all. You just keep spamming it and it works. So that's why it's for widow babies.
Yeah, I mean, to your question about would they have wanted to do something better, I don't know, honestly, because like if you look at even a lot of their other IP, like the Kirby games only really had the first like mature in big quotes Kirby title with the Forgotten Kingdom or whatever it's called. I mean, before that, like Epic Yarn was baby game for babies, and then all the games before that, like Nightmare in Dreamland was baby game for babies, like.
I think that some of them, like the original Dreamland and Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards were pretty. They were just games. They weren't baby games.
I can give to. Yeah, they weren't baby games, but they were just games. But I don't know. I feel like they're probably. I guess realistically, they probably look at the target demographic for a game like Peach's Showtime, and they probably go. Most of our hardcore gaming dudes are going to come to this game, but otherwise, not a lot of other people are going to come to this game. Like this isn't a game that like mom and dad are. If you're talking about the family unit, which is what they market towards most of the time, mom and dad aren't really going to be going for a Peach's Showtime game. They're just going to wait for the next Mario. Brothers aren't going to go for Peach's Showtime. It's basically like sisters and maybe their moms maximum.
Or younger kids even.
Or younger kids like toddlers like 7 and under, 8 and under or something along those lines.
I could definitely
So they probably were just like, let's just kind of keep it stupid, keep it simple. And then if people like the core concepts we're putting forward, then I could see maybe the next, Peach's Showtime 2 having a little bit more, something to it.
Yeah.
Especially since by that time, that initial audience that they went towards will have aged up also. Yeah, will have aged up as well. And so their audience demographic will change a little bit with that.
That's a good point.
So
what have you been playing?
Whole lot of Destiny. Honestly, I did not get to play much this week because of multiple hospital visits and stuff like that. But when I was playing, I was playing some Destiny. Nothing really special in there, just still trying to knock out challenges and just kind of get ready for Into the Light and get ready for, Final Shape and everything.
Yeah.
I did get my collector's edition of Final Shape. Obviously, the game's not included, but I got all the physical stuff and read some of the lore from that. That was really good.
You are so lore daddy.
I'm big Destiny headed right now, man. Like I'm all in on the Destiny right now, especially with Into the Light coming out. I think Into the Light's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be a great time. And then Final Shape, I mean, I feel pretty good about Final Shape. I do worry still about Final Shape because the way we get reports out of Bungie a lot, and the way it keeps on getting talked about is like this has to do really good. And I'm like, I don't know how good it's going to do. I don't know. Because in media all the time, they talk about, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here. In media all the time, they talk about lagging metrics, right? Where if you come out with a product that is amazing and does really good, that product will do really good. And then if you come out with the sequel to that product or a predecessor or a successor to that product, I should say, that product, despite its quality, will usually still do pretty good because it's running off the goodwill of the previous product. But then once you get to after that, it's now running off the goodwill of the bad product in the middle. And so then the next thing's not going to sell well. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this, because Witch Queen was so good that everyone's like the
was,
goodwill for
was out
Destiny
for Lightfall, and then now Lightfall was so bad. Technically,
carrying
yeah,
carrying over. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a huge Lightfall hater like a lot of people, but carrying over now, that is going to be the baseline for Final Shape. So Final Shape has a hill to climb, both in like marketing and also just actually delivering the goods. And I do think that they will deliver the goods. I think that this will actually end up probably being pretty damn good. I mean, even the people that got laid off from Bungie are like, no, guys, like this is gonna be it. Like this is gonna be like a killer expansion. And so, but I do worry because like all the reports are like, yeah, it has to do super, super well or more layoffs are coming. And I'm just like how well do you need it to do? Like, I don't know how many people you're going to be bringing back for the final installment, you know, or the final installment of this saga. I know they're going to do more after that, but like the final installment of the saga, I just don't know how much you're actually going to get people to come back.
yeah.
I don't know. It's a little scary, but regardless, I'm super excited for it. It's gonna be a great time. I'm super excited for all the Destiny stuff over the next couple months.
Me too.
And that's really about all. Oh, I did start playing Honkai Star Rail again. That one gacha game I told you about.
Yeah.
That I wanted to win mobile game of the year. And that's been great. They're on like 2.1 now. Still a great time, still a very fun time, still has some pretty epic anime moments. I'm not caught up on the story, but that's kind of been that's almost been like anime to me, where I'll log in and do like a mission of a story, and then I'll go swap over to Destiny or something. So that's kind of been nice. That's about it. That's all I've played.
I do see advertisements for that every now and then. So like it was one of those things where I'd never heard of it. Once you popped it in my head, now I see it everywhere. So
yep,
it's the old GTA Vice City cars. When you get into one car, you see a bunch of them. So
Yep.
We can move on to some of this big stuff. I want to lead this one with saying we're not here to talk about AI again and in depth, because if you guys have been listening at all ever, you know where both of us stand. We are neither like we both want to see AI thrive, but we want to see it responsibly. Me more so in the camp of like using it in a very, very moral, responsible way, forward saying the inevitable. We know where we stand. We all know where we are. So we don't need to go into it
about 80 times at this point.
Yeah, so we don't need to go to it too much. But I do want to say that Larian Studios of Baldur's Gate fame, Sven Vink, I hope I'm saying that name correctly, says he sees the potential for AI. So that means that they probably will be using it in the future to some degree. But he says we're hiring writers and not having ChatGPT write for their dialogue. So good on him for that. I do like that because not just for giving people jobs, I just love seeing the human creative mind not just work in efficiency, but work in creativeness, period.
Yeah.
And so
this is about what I expect for a lot of studios. Like if you're starting a major AAA game right now, this is probably your stance, is we're going to use a little bit of AI here and there, but at the end of the day, we still need the people to make the product. Like the AI can't make the product. And so we still need the people to actually be there and be the ones who are actually creating what it's going to be. Correct. So this is kind of similar to like we talked about a few, probably a month or so ago, where they said with the new Witcher title that they're working on, they're probably going to use some AI tools and stuff for that. And so I think this is about where if you're starting a new game here, the year of 2024, you're probably using minor amounts of AI at some point. But most studios know at this point, like, yeah, AI can't do heavy lifting. You know, it can help shrink down the timeline for a lot of stuff, but we still need writers, we still need programmers, we still need developers, we still need artists, we still need all that stuff to actually make the product sing. And so, yeah, I think this is probably a story we're going to hear quite often over the next couple months as we hear about these bigger studios kind of churning up for whatever their next title is going to be in the next, I don't know, 5 years or whatever it's going to be.
We're going to get a farm fresh, cage free, AI free stamp on every piece of media. I guarantee it.
Well, funnily enough, you're actually not 100% wrong. I don't think we brought this up as a news story, but Steam now actually makes it so that you have to divulge if AI assets were used in any way, generative AI assets in any way in your product, and that goes onto your Steam page.
Good.
And so So you're not wrong. I mean, there's going to be that cage-free, AI-free stamp on some pages that don't use any of that stuff. So
Good. So we can support where we want to and let the business flourish how it wants to with AI. I like that.
Yep.
And then my next one for big stuff. I know this is big because it's a big release, but I know nothing about it. And actually on Steam, it has mixed reviews, and that's Dragon's Dogma 2. What have you heard or what have you played with this one?
Yeah, so Dragon's Dogma 2, if you look at like critical aggregates, so if you go look at like Metacritic, OpenCritic, and kind of look at what all the reviews from critics are saying, the game's a banger. Amazing. One of the best fantasy RPGs right now of our time is what a lot of people are saying. People are saying it's going to be an easy game of the year contender, so on and so forth. Steam is a different story. Steam obviously allows you to leave reviews. Allows people to leave reviews, and people use that feature quite a bit on Steam. And so it was at, I think it was at universally negative for a little bit, and now it's kind of bumped back up. And that is because of microtransactions. Basically, they launched the game without telling anybody that there was going to be a bunch of microtransactions. There was a total of 21 different microtransactions that you could purchase at the launch of Dragon's Dogma 2. In fact, I could even pull up the page real quick.
Right? Is it? I mean,
you don't have to, and that's exactly what I told people. Where I'm like, you don't like. I looked at all of them, and all of the microtransactions that they have, or almost all of them, I should say, are all gainable within game. They're all stuff that you can just go get in game or find in game. And so, yeah, they basically.
I thought I saw the only thing I did look into this was that I saw the reviews, and the reviews that I saw were mostly just people complaining about surface level things. Like they would each of the reviews, good or bad, would have about 30 to 40 hours already, and at least over 20, but mostly 30 to 40 hours. And the positive reviews were positive, where you would expect, and then the negative reviews were all surface level. It was either one, what you just said, the microtransactions, but you don't have to purchase those, so why negative for that? And then the second one was just, my PC in the year of our Lord 2024 should be able to run this game. I'm having issues. And then someone also downvoted it or upvoted it, like they were saying the same thing, just the opposite, but it was like, I don't have these issues, but until they get the issues, I can't recommend, or get the issues fixed, I can't recommend this game. And it's like, I mean, I guess if you're having, but you're not having performance issues, so why leave a bad review?
Yeah.
That's I
definitely heard of the, yeah, I definitely think it got review bombed a lot. Basically, as soon as something that like gets out that it has a lot of microtransactions, I feel like there's just this subsect of gamers that are just like, I have to leave a bad review for microtransactions. And to those people, I'm just like, you guys just have to, like, you lost the fight. You lost the fight like a decade ago, bro. Like, microtransactions are here. They're non-negotiable. Microtransactions are just going to exist. And some people will say, oh, but it's a single player game. Like, why should it have microtransactions? And again, it just kind of goes back to, you don't have to buy them. The microtransactions would literally not be there unless players were telling people that they wanted them to be there. Case in point, a game that I played a few years ago called Tales of Arise. It's a JRPG, has microtransactions that are very similar to Dragon's Dogma's microtransactions. And they actually had an interview with some of the creators of the game that basically said, yeah, we talked to a lot of different players on what they liked and didn't like about our games. And they verbatim would tell us, let me just pay to level up so I can just play the game. Like, a lot of people play JRPGs for the grindy aspect of it, right? Mm-hmm. They want to grind. They want to like just be in that and just be grinding and grinding and grinding. That's like a hallmark of JRPGs. But players like myself, I don't have 200 hours to play your JRPG, but I do really want to play the story. I just don't want to have to spend the 2 hours between every story beat having to go grind a bunch of dumb mobs in the open world like a lot of JRPGs do. And so Tales of Arise has a system where it's like, hey, for like $2, you get like 5 levels or something like that. And I'll full transparency, I spent like $6, I guess it would be $6 to get like 15 levels. So I overpowered everything so I could just breeze through the story. And that was well worth $6 to me. And so these options are just there for people such as myself who want to engage in a lot of these RPGs, but a lot of the RPG system, like they want to engage in the RPG story, but the actual system of the RPG, such as the grinding aspect of it, right? Just butt up against what they want. And so they just offer them a shortcut. Like, hey, if you want, like, here you go. You can just kind of pay to get strong, and then that way you can just focus on the story. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, especially since it's optional.
Base level, I think that is okay, because that, like, obviously it's your choice. You can do what you want, but then we start to get into this like this little unfair practice and unethical practice of like what could be, and I'm sure some people do it, or gotchas do it too, where it's like they intentionally make that grind longer, so you will spend that money instead of the inverse. It's like, we made our game. Oh, you want to speed through it? Here's a microtransaction. Sometimes they could go into the practice of, here's the microtransaction. We're gonna make our game longer. You know, so it's if they don't do it backwards, I'm totally okay with it. I do think intent matters, and I think that if they made their game the way that they want to make it, and people do like that grind, then that's fine. But I'm with you. If you want to spend the money, you spend the money. I would never do that, but I'm with you in that being your choice. I'm all for that.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I would take that choice again in these giant RPGs. I'm just at the point where, like I've said before, I can't be spending 100, 200 hours on these RPGs anymore. I just can't do it. It's too much time for me to dedicate to one game, and so I like the option to be able to just cut that out. Granted, you know, to your point, if they could just include an option to cut that stuff out, I'd also take that in a heartbeat. You know, if they made it a non-paid thing, but at the end of the day, I do understand that video game business is going to have to video game business. These RPGs take a shit ton of money to make, and so they got to try to make the money back somewhere. And so, or try to make more money somewhere if they can. And so I also understand that that's probably where a lot of that comes from as well, is they're just, they got to make the money. I think you're right, especially with the gacha stuff, where a lot of those gacha games probably do prolong it to make it so that you have to go grind and get those resources and get the stuff you need.
So then you'll want to pay.
And so that your characters are stronger, and then you can go, you know, fight whatever the next big boss is or something along those lines. I definitely think gacha games do that, even without the kind of, like you said, the intent of like trying to make it easy on players. Like those games are designed purposely to make you go pull the crank again and again and again and again. But they try to balance it enough to where they keep it fun enough to where it's like, you could just keep on having fun free to play and then just pull the crank every once in a while, and they're also fine with that. But otherwise, from Dragon's Dogma's perspective, from what I've heard, I mean, like I said, a lot of people I've talked to have said it's fantastic. They said it's one of the best fantasy RPGs in recent years.
Good to hear.
So
I'd love to check it out one day.
Yeah, that's another one where I'm like, I'd love to check it out someday, but you know, time, you know, where am I going to find the time? Well, granted, I think people were saying it was only like 40, 50 hours to beat the campaign, right? That's not awful. I could do that.
Doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. Sweet spot for video games for me right now, though, is like 20 hours. If it's a 20-hour game, that's about the sweet spot I want.
Yeah.
Or less, even.
All right, so the next thing is something that's close to home for me that I actually do know more about. At least I know more about the first game that they created, well, that I bought from them. Extremely OK Games, the Celeste devs, say, unfortunately, the new title Earthblade that was announced and showcased last year to release this year may not be releasing this year. Seems like they're going to be running into a little bit of issues with time, and it might not be able to come out this year. Now, I'm not too hurt about this. I mean, I am, because it's sad that if there's something roadblocking them, but you know, delaying their title's release. But I do think that this isn't probably going to be the game for me, but I do trust this team, because I'm not really a huge, because it's supposed to be a roguelike, not a roguelike, if I'm mistaken. It's a Metroidvania style, sorry. And I'm not too big on the Metroidvanias, but I do trust this team fully with my gaming life. So, because I mean, Celeste is one of the best games I've ever played, period. So this might be the game that gets me into Metroidvanias. Maybe not, because I like Celeste because it's a simple platformer, and that's what I like. But this might be the game that turns me over to a Metroidvania. So we'll see, but I'm not too, sad about it.
Excited
Or sad about the delay, I should say.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not too excited about the game itself. I'm excited that they're making games. I'm just ready for Celeste 2. I don't know if you've seen it much on this game or heard about it, but I know you like Celeste, so.
Have heard about Earthblade?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely aware of Earthblade. I mean, I'm almost the opposite of you, where I'm like, oh, or Metroidvania, that's more of my alley. So this is actually exciting for me to see kind of what they can do with that genre. And so I'm definitely excited to see what Earthblade ends up looking like and how it ends up playing. It not releasing this year, I think it's fine. We got plenty of games releasing this year, and 2026 is probably going to be. 2025. It's 2024 right now. I can't even think. 2025. Only game I know I'm going to be playing that year is Marathon, so it can definitely come out that year, and I can squeeze it in.
Monster Hunter.
Oh shit, that is 20. No, I thought that was 2026.
I thought that Marathon and GTA were supposed to come out in 2025, and then GTA just got pushed back to 2026.
I think it got rumored that it could get pushed back to 2026. I don't think it has yet. Oh no, you're right. Coming in 2025. Damn, yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds, baby, let's go. Sweet. Okay, yeah, maybe I will be a little bit busy. We'll see which one of these comes out first. The Earthblade or Silksong Hollow Knight. Because God knows where that game is. I feel at this point they had to have restarted it at some point and just been like, none of this is working. Rip it all up and just start again, because I cannot believe it's still not out.
Right.
Or even have a date announced to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it for Earthblade. I know that they did push it back. I didn't get much other info on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I imagine they're going to be pretty close. I feel like a lot of games right now are playing it pretty close to the chest until they're like 3 months away, which I honestly think is the smarter way to release games nowadays is, you can announce it earlier, but don't like really start pushing and showing a bunch of stuff until it's like imminent, until it's like 2 to 3 months away. Then you can start releasing, here's a trailer on this, here's a trailer on this, here's a trailer on how this works, here's a mechanic, here's the thing, here's the art or whatever. Like, right. I think that's a smarter way to do it versus like if they just kept, if we were already on Earthblade trailer number 6, it'd be like, I don't care. I can't get this thing anytime soon. Right. So why would I care about another trailer?
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, next up.
Yeah, so next up, I saw a little article talking about Phil Spencer, obviously of Xbox, and he's basically talking about like what's with all the layoffs and why we're doing that. And it shined a little light on me. To most of you, it'll probably be just obvious as hell. But basically, it's the fact that a lot of the AAA. Now, we can't speak for the indies and the AA companies because that just happens. It's just part of the industry right now. We're just in a bad time for it, but. Especially after COVID and everything. But basically that he says that this is how capitalism works. And we all knew that, but it made it a good point that they're publicly traded companies and they have investors. And so that these investors want to see growth. And if their games are stagnant or even negative, but typically just kind of neutral, then the only way to get a profit is to not pay people. So get them off the payroll, i.e. fire them. So they do these layoffs typically just to keep investors investing. Otherwise, and it sucks to get those layoffs, but otherwise we wouldn't be getting any games because these investors won't invest in these companies. And so the reason they invested is to make money, so they would dip out, is basically what he was saying. And I think that's a good point. I didn't think about it down the kind of chain of command, I really only saw it as just kind of bad time for the industry, and that's how capitalism works. But it's a little bit deeper than that. Obviously, this is standard chain of command of capitalism, but I mean, I never even thought about the investors thing, considering it Xbox being a publicly traded company. So,
yeah, I mean, it always, when it comes to capitalism and things like this, it always comes down to investors. And basically, do you have enough people investing in your company for you to then take that money and make the next product, release it, and then hopefully that does well, so you can get more investors for the next product, and so on and so forth. I mean, I get what Phil's saying, and it is just the system we live with. I still hate the system. I think the system's really bad.
For sure.
Just because it is that thing of where it is. He's essentially saying we have to continue to show infinite growth or no money. And I'm just like,
no, that's a byproduct of something very terrible. I agree with you for sure.
yeah. And so like I guess the whole infinite growth model that a lot of these companies revolve around, you know, not just even video games, but just in general, the infinite growth model. I mean, there's gonna come a time, guys, where the growth has got to stop, or it's at least got to stagnate for a little bit. You know, maybe it's not going to stagnate forever, but it's eventually got to, you know, it's got to cool off a little bit. I also feel like, while I get that this is the best thing for them to get the money, I do feel like it is one of the worst or one of the not as good decisions they could make as far as actually making good products. Because the more people you lay off, like that's knowledge that you're laying off, right? Like taking it to, you know, for example, like when Bungie did their layoffs, like they laid off Michael Salvatore, their music guy for the past almost 30 years. I think he was like 28 or 27 years or something like that. Like that's experience you never get back.
Right.
Like sure, infinite growth go up now, but like your next products aren't going to be as strong because you've now lost all of that knowledge. And so that's why like I really want these companies, these large publicly traded companies, like I know their hands are tied by investors, but I need them to start really thinking. I need people like Phil Spencer and such to really start thinking about how can we make this still work. You know, maybe line doesn't go up as much as we want it to, but we get to keep the people so that the next product we make is gonna be a banger.
Guaranteed bangers, yeah.
Yeah, like we've got the people in place where we are going to knock this out of the park. Investors, you just got to give us 6 months or a year where line not so up and we can do it. And so I really want these larger figureheads in these companies to start thinking about that, because there's going to be a big talent drain. Like I think we're at like almost 30,000 people laid off between last year and this year so far. That's a huge talent drain on the industry, man. Like that's years and years and years and years, decades even of knowledge lost.
Well, we can say lost, and yes, it is lost for those companies, but hey, devs, music guys, get together and make an indie company and be profitable yourself. That these things can happen. I don't feel like it happens enough, if I'm being honest. Like I need to see an indie game with like a tier 1 or tier 2 team, as we would call it, and see them come in with like 10 people and they're like, hey guys, this is a super team. They're coming in like the Avengers. Just, hey, we have Marty and we have, you know, whomever that's been laid off, these decade-long experience holders of like, we can come together and make a banger of a game. And because I'm sure that they could easily formulate something, because if you see of Halo fame or of Bungie fame or, you know, whatever, you're going to be like, okay, this guy had 20 years at Bungie. Maybe we should look into his resume, or maybe we should start a company with him and stuff. So we need to be doing that more often, because it isn't down the drain fully.
I agree. I definitely want to see what you're talking about, where it's like, yeah, go off and make indie studios and then kind of spin up smaller projects and stuff like that. I do think that transition is going to be harder than we might think, because just kind of off of conversations that I've had with people who have been in AAA and been in indie, they are different worlds. And so if you're going from AAA,
you're losing a massive amount of money. You're losing the budget.
You're also just losing a massive amount of like when you're working at a AAA company, your job is very specific. Like you are zeroed in on like you pull these 1 to 2 levers. Like that is your job. Whereas once you go to indie, where it's only like 5 to 10 of you, your job is now to pull 38 levers that 36 of them that you've never pulled before in your life.
Right.
And so it is still going to be a bit of a change, but I do agree. I do want to see a lot of them go start in making companies, and also just I want these companies that they go off to make also just realize you don't have to make the next Like I've seen this time and time again where people will get laid off or they'll leave a company. They're like, yeah, we're going to go make our own company and we're going to make, we got laid off from GTA. So now we're going to go make the next GTA.
Okay,
it's like,
don't do that.
Don't do that. You're not going to do that's not going to happen. Like, but it happens all the time.
Yeah.
People leave their big studios and they're like, yeah, we're going to go make our own version of that. And it's like, don't do that, man. It's not going to work. It's going to be bad. Like,
yes, it is going to be very
at the
bad.
very least, it's not going to be very good. But I do still think that we're going to still have a lot of that talent drain, because I imagine a lot of, like, if you're looking at the industry right now, you just got laid off and you're looking at the industry right now and you're like, I now have to compete with 30,000 other people for a job in this industry. I imagine a lot of those people will say, this just ain't worth it. I'm going to go work in tech somewhere else. I'm going to go be a programmer for a bank or for a tech firm or something like that, and just do that instead and not have to deal with the volatility of the product-driven market of video games.
Right.
And so I do still think there is going to be quite a bit of talent drain, but we will have to see. I hope within the next 10 years we get to a point, though, where we can really start figuring out how to quell this infinite growth virus. I need companies to start figuring out, like, infinite growth's not going to last forever. We got to figure out a different path.
Yeah, they should realize that. I mean, it's pretty obvious that sometimes
you
flatline for a couple months or, even a couple years between products, etc. So yeah, they should. That's capitalism, baby. The next thing is, I technically put this under big stuff. You would know more than I would about this, but I mean, we can go into the small stuff. This is like the medium stuff, but Bungie rolls back the idea to time gate the Into the Light loot. So apparently they had a plan to time gate some of these things, and then they've kind of nixed that idea.
Yeah, so I can tell you what the initial plan was. So essentially they announced, hey, we're bringing back 12 weapons into the game for Into the Light. They're all going to be associated with the new game mode. Onslaught, the Horde mode they have going on. And they basically said that they had a whole stream where they showed off all the weapons. Very cool. The weapons look fantastic. Total side tangent we can maybe get into later is, like, power creep in this game is insane. These guns are going to be busted. Just absolutely fucking busted. They literally must have just been like, fuck it. Just give them the busted guns. Like, what else do we have left to lose, essentially? But anyways, so they had a live stream. They talked about all the weapons. Yep, these are going to be coming with Into the Light. The next day, they released a blog post, which is like, here's what all the weapons can get, like all the traits and perks and all that kind of stuff they can get. And at the bottom of that thing, it said, we're so happy to bring these to you. We're going to be releasing 6 on day 1 of Into the Light, and then every week after, we're going to be releasing a new another weapon from the other 6. So basically, you get half up front, and then over the next 6 weeks, you're going to get it trickled down with a new weapon every week. Essentially, was the game plan, and people did not like that. People did not like that at all. And so yeah, Twitter sphere and Reddit and all that stuff got into a whole thing where they're just like, why are you not just releasing them all on day 1? Like, can't we just have all this on day 1? And basically it bubbled over, and Bungie came out and said, all right, we're going to shrink the time frame. So now it's still 6 weapons on day 1, but now you're going to get 2 weapons every week. So 3 weeks, all the weapons will be available for you to go and get, essentially.
Who cares that much? I mean, it keeps you, like, not having, because if they released all 12, you're gonna have to, people are just gonna play for 10 hours in one day and then get bored and never play again. How about we play for an hour a day and stay playing for a month?
Yeah,
people are weird with the way they play into Destiny. Like, stop milking your time in it. Enjoy video games, people. PSA, games are supposed to be fun. God damn.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely would have had the people that were just burning through it, trying to get every single thing in as little time as possible, where I kind of fall into 2 camps on this, where I do feel like the time gating was a little silly. I mean, feel
it's
like
arbitrary for sure.
It's arbitrary. It's just kind of like, you guys are building up, Bungie's actually building up a lot of goodwill right now with this Into the Light. Like, Into the Light, the player base is actually very excited for, and everyone's pretty stoked to be coming back. And this is probably the best goodwill they've had since pre-Lightfall. And so this kind of just felt like a weird thing where it's like you're building up all this goodwill just to kind of turn around and do this weird thing just to like drive engagement. Whereas in my opinion, I feel like with what they're offering with Into the Light, the engagement would have been there regardless. Whether the 12 weapons came out day one or not, I feel like the engagement was going to be there. Like people are excited for this stuff. People are excited to get these weapons. People are excited to play the new activity.
Yeah.
And so it did, yeah, it just kind of felt arbitrary. It just kind of felt silly. I think the new timeline is fine, where it's like 3 weeks, everything will be unlocked. That's basically going to be the whole month of April. You're going to be getting new stuff every week. And then May, I know they said they had a few more things that they're going to reveal this Tuesday. And so it's just kind of an instance of Bungie just like they build up a whole bunch of good. Bungie does this all the time, where they build up a whole bunch of goodwill, and then they just can't help themselves. They can't. So some metric guy, some guy who handles all the engagement numbers at Bungie comes in and says, you know what'll help engagement? If we release these week by week by week by week. And they just kind of make these weird decisions based off that stuff. Whereas I do feel like just give the people the stuff. Like for at least the content drop like this for Into the Light, which is kind of supposed to be like a celebration of Destiny. Like the 12 weapons are all like weapons from Destiny's history, like kind of famous weapons from Destiny. And so it kind of just feels like let's just have a celebration. Well, we got to add some arbitrary stuff to it. But at the same time, I play Destiny every week, so I don't really care if the stuff gets trickled down because I'm going to be there anyways.
Right.
So it just kind of feels like whatever to me. But yeah, all the Into the Light loot looks really good. I know people, the one concern I did have is one thing they've introduced to this. I don't know if you're aware of this. They've introduced, shiny Pokemon, right?
Correct.
They've introduced that into weapons now in Destiny.
Love that already.
Where you have shiny weapons, basically. Ornament that only rarely drops on the weapon.
I love that.
Yeah, honestly, I was like, damn, that is
genius.
Kind of a genius idea. That like,
it
how
really
have we not been doing that already?
No, that is absolutely genius. I'm super stoked for that.
So the one thing I was worried about is they said that the shiny weapons are only going to be available until final shape, so June 4th. And if they follow the original time frame, May 21st would have been when the final weapon came out. And so when that final weapon came out, you would only have 2 weeks to try to get your shiny. And I'm like, that'd be a little, I don't know the drop rates, but if the drop rates are shiny Pokemon level drop rates, that might be a little tight. So
yeah,
that is one thing I'm glad that they're giving more time to get all those weapons. But I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there getting that shiny weapon. I want that shiny weapon. It looks beautiful too. So
for sure.
But yeah, that's the Into the Light loot debacle. Pretty much solved. Everyone's pretty happy with the compromise. So I think
it gave me some more info on that too. I didn't really know about that. I've kind of been out of the Destiny sphere for a little bit until we get back into it with the major update. But I might jump in for this one. I'll probably jump in for this one.
I think you should. I think this is looking to be much more of a major update than I initially thought it was going to be. I initially thought this was going to be pretty whatever, but the loot, the activity, and whatever else they're going to tell us about next Tuesday, it looks pretty significant.
See, this one does seem pretty fun. Like typically whenever they start a new season and we get the seasonal missions and the seasonal like activities, I typically just don't like them. I do them because I'm in the Destiny sphere and I just do them because they're there. I don't typically like them. Like the whole like Embaro engine thing where you
Embaro engine.
I don't like that stuff. It's boring to me. Like I get it. It's like, oh, there's a little puzzle here and there. There's like a little mission puzzle. Like, but they always feel so meh. Like they're great. It's great for new content. Don't get me wrong. I love that. It's never like where I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to hop on and do the new mission this week. And then you find out that every week it's the exact same thing, just with another step. So you do the exact same, like, oh, find the right chest, but you do it 3 times this time instead of 2 times. It's like, I don't care. So this one sounds like it actually is fun and interesting and has good rewards. I mean, the shiny thing is a genius idea. I typically don't care about cosmetics that much, but in a game like Destiny, if you're something you can farm for, instead of farming 30 times a week for your fucking Vex Mythic class, it's cool that you can actually get something else to show for that. So I do like that.
Yeah.
A lot.
I hope they run with this shiny idea and do it on tons of different stuff.
Oh, for sure. And do it in Marathon too, Bungie.
Yeah, because I think it is a genius idea, and I think especially with the weapons that they're bringing back for Into the Light, like you can get a shiny Recluse, you can get a shiny Mountaintop, you can get a shiny, you know,
Right.
hung jury, you can get a shiny midnight Q, like all these kind of famous weapons throughout Destiny's history. And so I think it's going to be a fantastic time. I definitely think you should hop in, at least to try out the new activity Onslaught. I think Onslaught looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll be there. And then
very rewarding too.
The last thing we have is something small, but I found this so wholesome and so sweet because I love when creators share with other creators and we can all create together. Thor of Pirate Software fame, of the YouTube Shorts guy.
YouTube Shorts guy.
Yeah, everybody's seen him. He's got the super deep voice. He loves ferrets and all that stuff. He's the creator of the indie game Heartbound. He said... I recently saw in one of his shorts that he said on the Steam page you'll see that you can download the OST for that game, and you are always free to use that OST, the soundtrack, for those who don't know, the soundtrack for that game, for any content or stream that you produce. And I love that.
Which is awesome.
That is amazing.
That is awesome.
He will not strike anyone for using now, most games don't, because they kind of people use game sounds and audio in there anyway, but I love that he's put it forward and he's just straight up saying, this is what I want you guys to go and create.
Yep. I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome when this is what all video games should do. Like, just let people use your music to kind of almost advertise in a lot of ways. Because how many times do you have it where like an awesome song is playing in the background and someone's like, oh, what song is this?
Exactly.
Yeah, what is this? And then boom, you've got another person going to get that song. So yeah, good on Thor. Thor's doing all the right stuff right now. I love his content. He's doing fantastic stuff. He's one of the best of them.
He's great.
Alrighty. I
think that's about it.
And with that, I think that's all we got for today. Nice, short and sweet episode.
Yeah, just under an hour. So, Ford, let me ask you this time, since I hosted. Where can the people find you?
You can find me at SFjord. I actually will stream this week now that I'm not in immense amounts of pain. So I will be going live tonight with a flawless raid, Valve the Disciple. You can find me at SFjord on Twitch. You can also find me as SFjord on Threads. And yeah, just working on some cool stuff. I'll have some new projects coming up here pretty soon. I know I keep on saying that. I promise they're coming. But in the meantime, definitely find me on Twitch. I'll be streaming pretty often nowadays.
I do see you on Scrivener often, so I see you writing.
Oh man, I'm going. I'm ready for it. I'm churning, baby. I'm churning.
I want to be your book beta tester, so I want to be there.
Yeah. You'll definitely be there once I figure out. I'm still figuring out a lot of the end of the book.
Totally fine.
But we're getting there.
Take your time. We love a creative mind.
HP, where can the people find you?
Find me anywhere at Heretic Plays. Just go into Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and obviously here on Twitch, Heretic Plays. But more importantly, go to YouTube and type in Sirens Sketches. The first, because SEO is on point, the first result you will see are all of my wife, my artist, my lover. You'll see her amazing work that she's been doing on YouTube. We've spent a lot of time editing it. We spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We love this project that we've been doing. We're going to stick through it till the end, and she is growing so rapidly. So Sirens Sketches on Instagram and YouTube. YouTube is going to be our biggest platform. Very fun, cozy, creative content if you're into that kind of stuff. Draw with me style stuff. So,
yep, and I can vouch it. It's fantastic stuff. Definitely go check it out, everybody.
All right, that is it. That is your weekly wreckage with Damage Check. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week, gamers.